Okay, says I'm live, so I'm live. And we are currently working on desoldering the the motors for the drone, or the engines for the motors for the drone. So I've gotten one done, and I'm working on getting it taken off of its pylon and the wires pushed through. And the reason that I go ahead and do this now is because the drone engines, obviously, they one's counterclockwise, the other's clockwise, etc. And to keep track of where they are, I've got the new frame here, and I go ahead and I snake the wires into place. And if I get a chance, I can go ahead and essentially mount the motor onto the new frame so that it's in place, and then all I have to do is snake the wire when it comes time. So excuse me, that's one done. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to start working on this motor here. The one thing that I had to do was disconnect the LEDs. And the LEDs, as I mentioned yesterday, you have to scrape the little plastic tops off and then peel them off. I was going to share that with you, but I got to working and got overexcited and just started going crazy. And next thing you know, I had them all done. So you missed that part. It's boring, but you did. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and remove this next motor. So we follow the wire. We take it out of the little wax epoxy crap that they put in here to keep the wires in place. Not able to duplicate that really. I could use hot glue, but I try to avoid doing that because it just has a potential for melting the wire. So the other thing that I'm going to do, and I'm sorry I can't show you the view, but I decided I was going to try to do that with the iPad. But I don't have 1,000 users, and I'm not allowed to use mobile devices for live streaming. So once again, punished by YouTube. So I have to throw you guys up on the computer. So essentially what we're going after is these 3 wires right here in a line. And what I'm going to do is, instead of taking the solder off, which I did on the first Heron bird, I actually sucked the solder off. What I realized is that my soldering capabilities are subpar. And so this time what I'm doing is I'm actually leaving the solder bubbles there, and I'm just pulling the wires out of the solder so that I can essentially reuse what was there initially. So if I can just get a hold of this wire so that it will pop off when I loosen it. These front motors or engines are harder to get to because you have all of these other cross wires that come across. Okay, so that's 2 off. And now we're going to go for the third. Come on. There we go. All right, so that is another 3 wires off. And the motor just has these little plastic clamps that grab a hold of the bottom of the motor. And to show you, there's these 2 little clamps right here. It's kind of hard to see it. There you go. That's better. I'll put it over my cheek. And then what they do is they clamp around this piece right here and snap it into place. Now, the motors on this seem to be pretty good. So we only were replacing one motor, which of course is the one that came off and ripped off the nacelle. So I match the frame to where I was before, and this motor goes into this slot so that when I take that center piece off, that it just all the motors are already in place and ready to be soldered on, and I don't have to worry about the clockwise, counterclockwise stuff. And see, I mean, once you clip it, it stays there. It's not falling off. So it makes it a lot easier. I have to admit, that's one part about working on this drone that I like. The part that I hate about working on this drone is the fact that they run the wires through the nacelle right here, and you have to desolder them to take it off, and I hate that. I wish that there was a way that you didn't have to do that. It would be nice if there was like a plug there. Greg, I saw you on here. That would probably be a great idea. Is that we could we could come up with some plugs. You know, that'd be pretty great. Yeah, 3DR Solo probably has a much different way of doing this, and I can appreciate that. I mean, everybody has their own, I guess, method to their madness. So essentially, once again, I'm going to peel the wires out of this waxy substance that they use to secure them. I'm going to make sure that I have enough slack that I can get a hold of the wire without putting my hand too close to the iron. And we are just going to loosen that solder. Oh man, took a bit off of the solder that time. Now, of course, the nice thing about this is that I only have to do 3 motors because one motor was already removed for me. But I will still have to desolder the old wires. And one thing I noticed on that one is that the LED also got ripped off, which means that I have to solder the LED wires. And if I get a chance, I'll show you the LED wires. And this is the reason why I'm glad that before I took on this job, I did the Mavic, because the LED wires, I kid you not, were put together by some sort of psychotic, crazed person that only liked really, really small solder spots. Okay, so that is the last of the motors that I have to remove. The desoldering for this is complete, and we'll just match where I'm at. Okay, and I can go ahead and unpack the new motor and put it in place on the other nacelle so that it's ready to go. Okay, so that's that's good. Oh, so one thing that's really cool, I got this really nifty little solder station. I needed something that can hold wires, because when I work on the Favic, it's got a whole bunch of wires that I got to like pinch together. And so I found this thing, and it's got a little LED light that comes on, and I don't know, it's pretty nice. It was only like $10, $11. I've been impressed with it so far. So more toys, more gizmos for me to play with. So with that removed, the only thing that's left to do at this point is to free up. There's 4 screws that essentially hold this whole pocket in. And once I remove those 4 screws, then this whole piece comes out as one unit and just slides into the other. Now, the only difference is that underneath this is a like a gel pad, and then there's the GPS unit, which sits right here. That I have to unscrew and mount to the top of this and reassemble that part before I can put the brains back in. So my next thing will be to do that. Jeez, think that. What are you guys saying? I would love to sit there and think that I could race you through working on a 3DR solo, but knowing how much time you have spent working on drones and soldering things together, Dan, no. That would be a race that I could go ahead and tell you that I would lose ahead of time. So I'm fine with that. Now, the one thing I'm going to have to do is, wow, the skimpy little bastards didn't send me the clip. Ha! Well, there's another piece I got to order. All right, so we're going to snake these wires through here. Yeah, he can definitely do a 3DR solo faster than I can do this. I've actually watched some of the stuff that Dan's made, the creative stuff that he's built, and been kind of impressed with it. I think the one thing that he made that I loved more than anything else was the drone DeLorean, the Back to the Future DeLorean. I loved that. That was great. All right, let's see. Do we have the necessary tools to go ahead and pull the brains out? I bet you we do. I need Phillips heads, some large ones. I'm going blind in my old age, apparently. So these fit, wow, way down in here. Okay. That screw is one of those funky ones that they've gone and done the wax job to, so I'm going to have to clean that out with something else. Let's take a look, see what we have to work with here. Nope. Wow. They used something different. DJI likes to play little tricks like this every so often and mix things up. They really don't like people messing around with their drones. I can guarantee you that. So they would prefer I not be doing this myself. Nope, still not going to come loose. All right, well, I don't think we're going to get the centerpiece off this evening. I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on those screws. But to give you an idea of the wires, without yanking the soldering iron out, so way down in here, if you look down at the bottom, there's those 3 teeny tiny little solder joints down underneath everything, which is what the LED wires up to. And of course, the side that was ripped off, you can see that, well, let's see. You can see that the wire is down in there, but it's frayed. It's completely gone. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to solder those on with this unit out of the frame. It'll make it a lot easier to put it on. And of course, obviously, I don't have to worry about, it's not like the motors where you have to have everything in the frame to solder it back together. And of course, Demon's in here, my large to go outside. So I have a dog that talks. Yeah. Just stop here for a second and see what everybody's saying. Huh, yeah. I saw Dan's video today where he was out on the dinghy. I thought that was pretty well done. So and I can sympathize with him about getting caught out someplace and having to do an update to your drone on location. That has happened to me, and I know how bad it sucks. So, you know what? I think we are going to need a special tool. If I'm not mistaken, I think when I worked on the first Phantom, I had to use one of these to get it loose. That one. Let's see if this one's going to do it. Yep. There we go. And of course, you don't have enough clearance to spin it all the way around, which means you then have to do the half turn, pull it out, put it back in, half turn, pull it out, put it back in, half turn, which takes an enormous amount of time, which I don't want to force you guys to have to sit through, because that will probably be the worst, most boring live stream that you guys will have ever seen, especially since I can't seem to get it to set. So I'm going to continue working on this, and the next video will be taking the innards, moving it over to the new frame, and then we will start soldering the motors back on, and hopefully, if all goes well, then in a day or possibly two, we will be able to test fly the drone, see if the Heron Bird sequel is going to fly. So I appreciate you guys chiming in and getting a chance to, I guess, witness some of what I'm doing here. If you ever want to try this on your own, it's a lot of fun. I recommend it. So, and let's see. Toothless. Yeah. Yep. This is going to be annoying because that's one of those long screws. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for chiming in, and I will fire up another live stream when I get to the next stage. So thank you very much. You guys have a fabulous evening. So take care. And it's okay if you got late. If you got here late, that's the whole reason why you have YouTube, is because you can turn around and rewatch it later on. So thanks all. Take care and have a good evening. And we hit the end stream, and then we have to hit the end thingy.